Careful.
Bye, everybody. Be good. Bye. Bye, Mrs. Ennis. Have a nice day.
What?
Have a nice day.
Oh, that.
Who, Mrs. Ennis?
Yeah.
I had her last time she was in. All you can do is put up with it. Here.
Saints, that's what we are. Bleeding saints. Oh, my tootsies. Oh, I'm that hungry. Canteen.
Or the lounge. I can make her some toast.
Right, you're on. Oh, we had a panic night, a right cow of a night. A drip stop, and could we get a doctor out of bed? Ooh, ours was pretty quiet, thank goodness. And a cardiac arrest. Oh, hell let loose. I was only got a whole blooming time.
I'll heave a sigh of relief when Wednesday night's over.
The prize giving is always rather a special event, isn't it? All your little chicks trotting up there to collect their badges. Which is why I'm glad I bumped into you.
Huh?
Stockton, Jennings, Twoga, Bullimore. Now, they all failed their finals last time. They're not going to make it next time, are they, judging by these reports?
Well, I've had words with them all. More than once. Of course, with little Lung Chen, it's a language problem, and she does well enough on her practicals, but she slips up on her written English.
Yes, Mary Twoga's the same. Have you suggested special studies at an adult education centre?
They seem to feel they've enough bookwork as it is.
It's the best way of getting them through. What about the others?
They just haven't been working. I'm afraid they're a product of today's social attitude.
The standard's much higher than it was.
All the more reason why they should make every effort. Some of them seem to feel it ought to happen by magic without them contributing a thing.
Well, you just have to accept the fact they've got a lot more drawing them away from their books than they used to have.
In my day, we were made to have a priority of study.
I don't think we can make our nurses do anything. What we should do is encourage them to want to do it, reason it out for themselves. You've given me an idea for my speech.
Huh? The point is, what are we to do?
Well, as soon as we get Wednesday evening over, let's call a meeting of all the clinical instructors and see what we can sort out.
All right.
And you might have a word to the girls in question. Let them know that the powers that be aren't totally indifferent to their fate. Well, they're all potentially damn good nurses.
I must get myself a new pair of shoes for tomorrow night. We'll have to set the alarm then. 3 o'clock. Better make it 2.
Oh, you must be feeling very well off.
Well, it's not just for the ceremony. I need them anyway. But I've got to look posh for me mum, dad and matron, haven't I?
Are all your family coming?
Yeah, it's a blooming expensive do. Apart from anything else, it's 14 quid for registration.
I thought it was 9.
I went up at the end of July. You're out of date, my love. It's 13 quid for enrolment.
You know, it's not really expensive when you think you're getting a lifetime's qualification.
Yeah. If I don't chuck it up and go in for shorthand typing.
You wouldn't.
You get paid twice as much for half the work. No, I wouldn't. But that's only because I'm a mug. Don't go away, Miss Bell.
Please. Don't worry. Come on. Soon put you into bed.
Oh, I can't. No, please. I can't. Please. I can't. Please. Let me up. No. Please.
Don't worry. You're all right. You're all calm down. You're going to be sick. Now, deep breath. Deep breath. You're back in a minute. You're all right. Thank you. There you go.
She's been vomiting for over 24 hours, according to the husband. She's very dehydrated.
Diarrhea?
Apparently not. The doctor wants her taken down to X-ray as soon as she's settled down. He also wants to put up a dextrosaline drip. Try an ounce of water hourly. Though I doubt she'll keep that long.
Anything else?
Better not. You don't want to mask any symptoms till we've got a diagnosis. Let me know how she gets on. I'm Stash. I've got a sister's meeting. I'll be back soon.
But you don't understand. Someone's got to speak to Andy. Someone will. I won't have to make the day a whole day. You've got a terrible job of keeping her in the bed. Andy. Who's Andy?
Husband I've got. You're all right. Don't worry.
Here we are, Mrs. Ennis.
I don't want them.
Oh, now come on, Mrs. Ennis, please.
Take them away.
They'll make you better. That's what the tablets are for.
None of them do any good. Not one. I'm sick of them. Now do you hear? Take them away, girl.
Oh, God. Silly old cow.
Take a big mouthful of that. Rinse your mouth around. And in here. Calm down now.
How's she going on?
Not at all well.
Please, I don't need it. Is she keeping any of the water down?
No.
I'll ask if we can give something like an antiemetic.
She's very troubled. I'm sure that's making her worse. Sister back from her staff meeting yet?
She'll be back shortly. You can cope. I must stay with Miss Sherman. She hasn't long to go. Call if you need me.
Yes. Now tell us what the problem is.
Yes, Mrs. Ennis?
Nurse, can you put my shoulder up a bit?
One moment, please. Miss Rutherford, could you help Mrs. Ennis, please?
Yes, Mrs. Ennis?
Can you put my shoulder up a bit?
I won't be a minute.
What it is, sister, is that she's worried over her little girl.
She's in nursery school, I was told.
Yes, but only till lunchtime. Mr. Green's a long-distance lorry driver. He took her there on his way to work. The thing is, she doesn't know if he's made any provision for Andy. That's the little girl, Andrea.
He doesn't know she's in hospital then.
It seems not, sister. He just telephoned asking the doctor to call. Thought she had a tummy upset. A neighbour brought her in.
I see. Are they on the telephone?
No, sister.
All right, nurse, leave it with me.
She's worried sick. That's what's making her worse.
I know. I think I'll contact the social worker right away. Oh, Nurse Marhan, thank you. You're a good girl to find that out.
I didn't know it was my business, sister, but she's that distressed.
You did the right thing. Don't worry.
Oh, Mr. Farrow, Parks and Gardens have promised us some nice plants for the platform for tomorrow night. I've asked for poinsettias. They look so Christmassy.
And all the tables have arranged along the central aisle?
Yes, that is the general idea, I'm told. Of course, Mr. Farrow, I'm still inclined to think that the way we used to do it had more dignity.
What, with everyone sitting row on row? The nurses in the front and their families at the back? Well, surely you must agree this is a day they ought to be together.
I make no bones about being one of the old school.
Quite so. What's that?
Bunting. I feel tradition is very important.
We're not departing entirely from tradition, are we, sister? We'll still have Matron, the guest of honour, up there on the platform tomorrow night, together with myself and sundry other bods, hardly a group of go-go dancers. Though I dare say the nurses might prefer that.
But a formal ceremony has got a definite purpose. Not just to mark the end of training, but as a starting point. The moment that those girls get their SRN badges and caps, they've made a decision. A commitment to nursing. Now, surely, that's what all this is all about.
And then I'd best get on to tracking down Miss Sherman's next of kin, whoever they are.
I'll have a word with sister.
Can you do it now?
Yes.
Yes, what is it?
I was wondering, sister, Mrs. Green, there's any news like?
As it happens, I've had a phone call. You can tell her the little girl's fine. Granny's picked her up from the playgroup and taken her back to the house.
How was she contacted? She's not on the telephone. She lives miles away. That's what Mrs. Green was fretting over.
The social workers contacted the police. They went round. It's not the first time this sort of thing's happened, you know.
I never realised they could do that.
There's a whole network of ancillary services linking to us in here. Patients don't only exist, within the four walls of a hospital, you know, nurse. You want to find out a bit more about community work if you're that interested. Now then, off you go and give Mrs. Green the good news.
Thank you, sister.
Oh, nurse. I want you to keep a special watch on Debbie Logan for me. She doesn't realize it, but she's a very sick girl.
Yes, sister.
How far have you got, Nurse Brent?
Mrs. Ennis, prednisolone and enteric-coated aspirin, if we can get her to take them.
You're thinking of putting her onto steroids. Might buck her up a bit.
Oh, I hope so.
And will you get the students to blanket bath her?
Ennis, she'll eat them.
They've got to practice to learn. That's what they're here for. Have you got Debbie's drugs? I'll take them to her.
Yes.
Thank you. Here you are, Debbie.
Hello, sister.
There's some leaflets in Mr. Farrow's office. I'll give you a few. You can study them over the holidays.
Thank you, Miss Spindrill.
I don't want to damp your enthusiasm, but you're jumping the gun a bit, aren't you? You're almost another 3 years yet before you need make any decision about the future.
I know.
Come in.
Apart from a registration, what exactly would I need to do health visiting?
Well, you're midwifery, part 1 anyway. And you need some experience before you could start training. You'd have to have held a position of some responsibility for a year or so at least.
Staff nurse?
Or even sister. Thing is, you're looking after the health and welfare of families in the community. It's not a job for newly qualified 21-year-olds. Why are you so interested?
Well, when me dad died, Mammy was left all on her own with us kids. She was quite ill then. She had nobody to help, like when I first came over here.
Yes, I remember.
She was completely lost. She had neighbours and that, but no,
No informed advice.
A girl I met who was a health visitor said the best part of the job was watching healthy children grow.
Well, quite. Great part of it is health education. Chasing up immunization and things like that. It's not like hospital life, you know. When you're in here in uniform, you give people advice and they take it. What's the joke?
Nothing. I was thinking of our Mrs. Ennis.
Oh, the dragon of women's medical. Yes, I've heard about her. But a health visitor, from the time she starts, has to remember that she is a visitor in someone else's home.
Oh, is Mr. Farrow in?
Well, I haven't seen him.
I ordered poinsettias for the platform for tomorrow night, and they just said dreary rubber plants.
Of course, it'll involve going to university.
Really?
The RCN used to do it, but still, in the next 3 years, you'll have plenty of opportunity of speaking to health visitors and people doing community work, so you'll be able to form a better opinion, won't you?
I suppose so.
All right. Now, isn't it time you got back on the ward?
Oh, yes, Miss Windrop. You've been very kind, very helpful.
That's all right. Oh, and nurse, you really stacks of time, you know, to think about it. If I were you, I'd set my sights on that SRN badge. That's quite enough to be going on with.
Yes, Miss Windrop.
Ew, what are we doing about Christmas then?
What do you mean?
You know, decorations and that. My dad can get us some gear. He's working on the markets.
Debbie, it's only the beginning of December. Let me get this prize giving over with first, and then we can think of Christmas. And Debbie, try not to bounce about so much in bed. You're supposed to be resting while you're here.
Suppose we should. Why not? We're not going to pinch anything. Won't mind one of those plants for our room. Oh, I'm knackered. She either wanted to shop for shoes all afternoon Would have been better off sleeping in. Still, last night duty tonight. I must say it sounds a bit more civilised than the old school speech day efforts. Do you remember when you sat in long rows like batterians, and every time you went to get your prize you fell over everybody else's legs?
Who won prizes?
She'll have to watch my mum with the sherry. Go straight to her head. No, she wouldn't have eaten all day. You know, it's like I was making a solo debut at the London Palladium. As far as she's concerned, I'm the only girl that ever got her SRN. How does it feel? It's all right. To know you've cracked it after 3 years slog. Yeah, but it's just the start. There's 101 ways I could go from here. Well, like obstetrics, for instance. Fancy that, do you? Maternity sister seems to think I'd be quite good at it. Settle for just getting me cap right now. Just wish it was me trotting up there, that's all. Time for a cup of coffee and a fag before we go on. Keep your fingers crossed for a quiet night. Don't fancy going up there looking like a washed out old bag.
Joking. Not. Well, what did old Windbag say? Bet you could have knocked her over with a proverbial feather.
She did say I was jumping the gun a bit.
That you are.
She gave me some leaflets about it. She's very helpful.
Oh, Maureen, what a serious little child you are.
I like to think about things. What's wrong with that?
Sorry, girls, you can't use this room tonight. We have to get it ready for the sherry party.
Oh, you mean you're going to put your actual booze in here? Super, I'll give you a hand. It'll save me trotting down to the pub.
We won't be setting out the drinks until tomorrow evening. And they'll be strictly for the senior staff, prize winners and guests. But since you've offered, nurse, yes, you can help. You can help to clear up tomorrow night. You too, nurse.
Well, your big day. How do you feel?
I don't know about now. By tonight I'll just feel relieved.
I remember. You can't actually believe you're qualified until you see that badge with your own 2 eyes.
And it was my second go.
So it was for a lot of people. The main thing is you passed.
Good morning, Mrs. Ennis. Time to rub your elbows.
What have you done with my sponge bag? It wasn't there this morning.
Was it not? Must be still in the bathroom. Feeling any better?
Not a damn fool question.
Sorry.
Well, how can I feel any better? None of this rubbish they keep pumping into me is doing me any good.
Oh, there now. I'm sure it does.
Are you trying to tell me how I should feel? You stupid girl.
Well, we'll just have to get in an agent and nurse, I suppose.
On Christmas Day?
What else can we do? I'm here Christmas Eve, your Boxing Day. We must have someone qualified on duty.
I can always do first shift on Christmas Day, or splits if you like.
And what about your turkey on Christmas food?
I don't mind missing that.
I do. I'm not having my future staff nurse start the new year disgruntled and dissatisfied with it. I'll speak to number 7. We'll find someone.
Well, if you can't...
If I can't, then we'll all come in and bring our crackers and paper hats with us.
All right.
Well, it's not in here, Mrs. Ennis, and it's definitely not in the bathroom.
Well, it must have been stolen.
What's going on?
Mrs. Ennis.
My toilet bag has been stolen.
I'm sure it hasn't, Mrs. Ennis.
I tell you, definitely, it's been stolen, and it was a particularly good one. It was given to me by my niece for my birthday.
Well, when did you last have it?
Yesterday, when those 2 trainees came to give me a blanket bath, and a pretty messy effort it was too. And I went to check this morning, and it wasn't there. She's just been to the bathroom, and there's no trace of it.
Well, I'll have a look for it. I'm sure it'll turn up. Things have a way of finding their way back.
But that's not good enough, there's been...
What's she on about now?
She thinks someone spinched a stupid old wash bag.
Oh, I think the printers have done a first-class job.
Splendid. Shall we put 4 on each table?
As long as there's enough to go round.
How's the speech coming along, Mr. Farrer?
Oh, all right. Try not to make everyone nod off.
What's our guest of honour like? Does anybody know?
The mayor, who is a staunch educationist by all accounts. I've only met him once. If you'll excuse me, I must get back. Everything seems to be coming along very nicely. I take it the catering arrangements were Mrs. Lovejoy's capable hands.
Oh, she's really excelling herself. They're all busy making little cheese straws when I stuck my head round the door.
All those girls. My girls. Every prize giving is like the first.
It never stops being a thrill.
When it does, I'll know it's time they put me out to pasture.
Now, come along, girls.
Well, I certainly didn't take it, if that's what you're insinuating.
That will do, nurse.
Well, that's what she's more or less suggesting.
No, I don't think you did take it. I'm sure you're not short of a couple of pounds to buy yourself a decent sponge bag with.
There now, Mrs. Ennis, there's no cause to fret. It probably got put in someone else's locker by mistake. I'll get one of my nurses to have another look round.
When?
As soon as someone's got a moment. We do have a great deal to do on the ward this morning.
Right, I'll bitch that one. Proper troublemaker.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
You don't have to take no notice of her, Dax.
I don't.
It's just not on, sister.
And what exactly do you expect me to do about it, nurse?
Well, tell her. She can't go around accusing nurses of pinching her stupid gear.
As I understand it, Mrs. Ennis hasn't specifically accused anybody.
She practically said it was Nurse Morahan.
Nurse Morahan doesn't seem particularly upset.
Yeah, well, she's not the type to make a fuss.
Oh, and you are. I think you are rather overreacting to the incident, nurse. You were warned in training school that some patients, particularly elderly or cantankerous ones, would occasionally accuse you of taking things.
And we've just got to stand for it?
Understand, not stand. These people are sick, disorientated. We can't apply the same standards to them as we do to those outside. Yes, they sometimes get paranoid. But mightn't you if you were chronically ill for several years?
Her body might be sick, but her mind certainly isn't. She's a vicious, evil-tempered old woman.
That will do, nurse. Please return to your duties.
Come on, wakey, wakey, feeding time. Debbie, come on, wake up. What's the matter? Don't you feel so good? Do you want a nurse? Hang on, I'll get a nurse. It's Debbie, nurse. I don't think she's feeling too good.
I'll be right there. Is that better now?
Here we are now. Look what I found. Got put in poor Mrs. Sherman's empty locker.
A likely story.
Beg your pardon. What's the problem?
No problem. I've got my sponge bag back. The girls obviously felt differently about it.
Are you saying Nurse Morahan took it?
Well, of course she took it. When I made a fuss, she got scared and pretended to find it. Empty locker indeed.
It's all right, Pat. Forget it, please.
I won't bloody well forget it.
I don't mind, really.
Oh, well, you might not, but I do.
What's it got to do with you anyway? I was talking to her.
Mrs. Ennis, you really are the most ungrateful, diabolical old bitch it has ever been my misfortune to meet.
Oh, nurse! Not old!
The incident on the ward this morning was the straw that broke the camel's back. But it's not sufficient reason in itself for your resigning.
But it's so wrong that patients can treat nurses like dirt and get away with it. As though being ill excused you of all normal codes of behaviour.
Do all patients do it?
No.
Perhaps we should screen them before they come in. Admit only those that guarantee they'll behave nicely.
All right, I'm being unreasonable. Ennis was a bitch and Nurse Morahan, she's just too damn gentle to stand up for herself.
Perhaps she didn't need to. Nurse Morahan may have been objective enough to see the situation as it really was and felt perfectly able to tolerate it.
As I should.
Why did you come into nursing in the first place?
Well, for all the usual reasons.
And what are they? No. Tell me.
Well, it seemed a worthwhile job. Interesting. Seemed to have lots of possibilities. I like people. No, I do. I enjoy helping them. Most of them.
What have you learned about rheumatoid arthritis, nurse?
Well, it's miserable. It's a slow, debilitating process. Must be frustrating as hell.
And what's the prognosis for a patient like Mrs. Ennis? Do you know?
Not good. She can't be cured. The damage has already been done. The condition can be alleviated. Or could be if she'd help. Stop resenting every damn thing we try and do for her. Take her drugs, for instance, instead of chucking them all over the floor.
Don't you think even a saint might be a trifle disgruntled after a few years of what she's gone through? Lose the will to make the effort.
Yes, I know. I've been through all that with Sister. But she's a bad-tempered, arrogant, ungrateful old cow. Oh, I shouldn't say it. I've no right to say it. God knows she's a sick and sad old woman. I should find enough compassion in me to tolerate her, even if I can't like her.
They can't all be lovable.
The whole point is, it's not her that's wrong. It's me. Now, it's no use being all right with some of the patients. It's just not good enough, is it?
Just now, you gave me some pretty strong reasons why you came into nursing. Is nothing left of that? Has it all gone completely?
I don't know about gone. It's just been dissipated. Partly by the Mrs. Ennis thing, but also... Well, I just didn't realise there'd be so many petty rules and restrictions.
Not half as many as there used to be. Most of them are not petty. They're there for a damn good reason, though it's not always immediately apparent. Oh. I suppose you think I'm honor bound to defend the system.
No, I don't.
What would you do if you did leave? It's not that you've got a special urge to do something else?
No, nothing particularly.
Forget the things that irk you for the moment, Mrs. Ennis included. You're disappointed with your training so far?
Well, I thought it would all fall into place once I got on the wards, but...
You don't feel stretched enough?
Well, I realise I'm terribly raw and new, but... Well, yes. I mean, I'm 22. Maureen, for instance, is only 18.
Well, we've had women in their 30s who've married and had children before they started training. They've coped.
Well, perhaps I'm just not cut out for it.
You considered any of the other aspects?
Of nursing?
Of the health service? Physiotherapy? Radiography?
Why are you trying to find me alternatives, Mr. Farrer?
Just because you feel you failed in one direction, you think we should wash our hands of you?
Well, I would in your place.
No, we don't let girls of ability go that easily. Besides, you must have wanted to be in a caring situation. Otherwise, you'd never have come into nursing in the first place.
Doesn't surprise me. I never thought she was the right material from the outset. Thank you.
I don't agree. I think Rutherford could make a very capable nurse. I will admit she's had a rather shaky start.
Her attitudes are all wrong. It's her background I blame. She can't accept authority.
Not blindly, no. But then a lot of girls are like that nowadays. And personally, I don't think it's such a bad thing. They question things they'd once have just accepted.
In my day.
And in mine. Nursing has changed radically in the last decade.
Like ward reports.
Exactly. Throughout my entire career, I never knew what was written in my ward report, whether it was detrimental or not. Now the girls are asked to sign it. They can comment on it. They can even defend themselves if they feel justified.
Do you approve of the way Nurse Rutherford acted?
Of course I don't. I think she acted totally unprofessionally to a patient, but she did it on the spur of the moment, out of temper.
That's exactly what I mean. Her attitude is wrong.
And besides, she did it out of loyalty to a friend. And I think loyalty is an essential quality in a nurse. She just has to learn more self-control.
Half an hour ago, I just felt like packing my bags and walking straight out.
No, it happens. But usually only with girls who are totally unsuitable or unstable, and you're neither.
Thanks.
Besides, your contract of employment states that you have to give a month's notice. You'd relinquish your pay if you did just walk out.
Yes, well, a letter of resignation's not too difficult.
If you do decide to leave.
Well, I rather thought that's what I'd already decided.
Talk it over with your family and friends. Come and see me in a week's time. Let me know how it's going.
Thanks. Oh, and thank you for being so accessible.
Well, that's the aim. There was a time when a girl couldn't even have a chat with her tutor. Starch doesn't walk just in the aprons. It might be worth your while to talk to one of the physiotherapists. Ask a few questions in that direction.
Thank you.
Yes, oh, let's have it. And she kept on giving the poor old bloke a mouthwash every 5 minutes, whether he wanted one or not.
Ah, poor old chap, what a shame.
Where are they? Don't worry, there's plenty of time. Hey! Thank you. Look at old Wimbo. I bet she was quite a raver when she was young.
No, thank you.
Do you remember our prize giving? One aspidistra on the platform. I remember I nearly didn't get there. I went to a party the night before. Of course, I was locked out of the nurse's home.
Was the laundry window open?
Oh, do you remember that?
Auntie Phil had a bit of a heart disease. A warning, the doctor said.
Don't worry. Phil's a tough old bird.
No, I'm thank you.
There seems quite a lot here.
Yes. They've all brought their supporters.
Your father would have come. He has this meeting.
Yes, that's all right.
They're thinking of moving him to another branch, a bigger one.
Oh, if they've missed that train, relax. You said they'd only just get here in time. Hi, Susie. That must be the famous Timothy.
Oh, you mustn't think like that, dear, says the student, putting her arm round the old thing's shoulders. I'm sure they do everything they can for you. Oh, I'm not going to pop off, child, says the patient. They're moving me upstairs in the medical ward.
Certainly letting their hair down tonight. That's Wimbag's 5th sherry to my knowledge.
I know.
Well, I thought you weren't going to come. So you missed the train.
Before you know.
You're working late tonight, sister?
Oh, I volunteered to spend an extra hour. Phillips particularly wanted to see her niece get her SEN.
That's a shame you'll miss it.
Oh, I'll be in plenty of time for the cup of tea and the sausage roll. I've listened to enough prize-giving speeches over the years.
Shall I let the visitors in?
May as well. They're champing at the bit out there.
All right, then. All right, you can go in now.
Thank you very much indeed.
said it was all right for us to sneak in at the back when they finished the speeches.
If you like.
Of course. Don't you want to see them?
Not particularly.
Oh, I suppose so. Just think, all the family there are watching you. What's wrong, Pat?
Nothing.
Are you still upset about that Mrs. Ennis business?
Good Lord, no. I'm packing it in.
Packing it in?
That's right.
What's your training?
Nursing the whole thing.
Pat, you can't.
Oh, I can, you know. All I've got to do is sign a letter of resignation. They don't actually clap you in irons and hang, draw and quarter you for it. Oh, Maureen, don't look at me like that.
And the simple fact is that if girls are not prepared to put any effort into their work, they will not pass. This may seem to you to be stating the obvious, but unfortunately it's extremely difficult to get this across in practical terms, because outside there is still the attitude that you don't have to be terribly bright to be a nurse. Ask a good percentage of people what qualities they feel are necessary, they'll say, oh, you have to have a strong back and be a willing horse.
Go and see the physiotherapist then.
What for?
You just told me Mr. Farris suggested you found out more about it.
I doubt it.
I think it's a first-class idea. If you really do mean to give up nursing, I'm sure you'd like it fine.
Maureen, honestly, I'd have to go right back to square one. It's a 3-year training course.
So is this and you're prepared to do it?
I can't go in for all that long-term planning.
So how many times do you give up and run?
Because I chuck teaching.
You must want to get somewhere, Pat.
What you're really saying is I've got no stability. A reed that blows in the wind.
I'm not. I think you've got plenty of stability. You just got to dig a bit to find it. If you keep giving up every time you begin to doubt yourself, where is it going to end?
You know, you sound just like my father.
They simply don't understand the amount of application and study that goes into becoming a state-registered nurse.
I do so agree with that, don't you?
I see on references, this girl is not academic.
God, it goes on a bit, doesn't it?
That's nothing. You wait till he gets started.
If a girl has obtained a couple of A-levels and a good range of O-levels, they'll say, we feel she ought to be doing better things. The feeling, you see, is that all it takes for a girl is to be kind. Well, of course you must be kind. Of course you must have stamina. Of course you must be willing. But I'd say to any
Of course the tea will be cold
that
if
to
he doesn't get
qualify
a
as
move
a
on.
state-registered nurse with
Is this the
comparative
last
ease,
speech? I
you
told
must
your
have a
father I'd get back to get his
conventional
supper at
O-level very
past.
Of course, I realise I'm preaching largely to the converted. By the same token, sooner or later you'll be going out into the world, using the skills you've learned here, spreading your wings. And when other girls come and ask you, as they will, about a future in nursing, you'll be able to clear away some of the misconceptions. To prevent a girl wasting a year's training simply because she didn't realise she'd have to study, and study hard, and to do honour to the qualifications which you are so proudly here to receive tonight.
So you see, you're not the only one who's been making decisions.
You'd really stay on another 4 or 5 years?
Just to be nearer 6. 3 years to get me SRN, that's if I pass first time. Then my midwifery. Then a couple of years as staff nurse before I can do my health visitors training, and that's another year.
Ye gods. You're not serious.
Why shouldn't I be?
Well, in the first place, you only got the idea yesterday.
I think it's what's right for me. Of course, I'll have to talk it over with Mammy in the holidays. It's only fair to prepare her. She'll understand.
And that's the second reason. You were going potty when you first came here at the thought of leaving your family for only 3 years. Couldn't you do the course at home?
There's only one college in Belfast. I'd have to be very lucky to get a place. Most Irish girls wanting to do health visiting come over here.
But love, I mean, how can you?
How can I what?
Commit yourself.
Isn't that what life's all about? One way or another.
But Maureen, you're only 18. How can you possibly know what you want to do in another 3 years' time? How can you be so certain?
Sure, and they asked me the very same thing when I was 7 years old. When I told them I was going to be a nurse.
Christine Mary Livesey. Susan Louise O'Callaghan. Leila Maria. Shirley Brent. Marilyn Francis Lake. Margaret Sarah Carroll.
Can I see?
Yes.
Very nice. Very nice, dear. Even got your name on it.
Yes, Mother.
There. You'll feel a lot better in a little while, love.
God, didn't I give me mum a fright?
It was just a reaction to one of the drugs you were having. You suddenly shot up a high temperature.
She thought I'd got the flaming DTs.
I'll tell her you're all right.
She couldn't cut back.
Just for a while, all right?
You won't forget, will you, sister?
Forget what, my pet?
About the Christmas decoration. You said I could help.
What's the prognosis, sister?
Poor, I'm afraid. She'll continue having these relapses.
Janet Riley. Elizabeth Pullman. Jonathan Jeffries. Charles Raymond Askin. Jocelyn Sinclair Riley.
Sister Young, the one who's just come in. I'm meeting a staff nurse on her ward. I'll introduce you afterwards. She's nice.
Maureen Iris Kelleher.
There you are, tea.
Thanks.
I've only put 1 sugar in there.
That's enough. I don't want any more.
Sure?
Sweet enough.
I've put plenty of sugar in your cocoa, Mrs. Ennis.
I don't take cocoa, I take tea.
But you said you... Sorry, tea it is then. And hold it for you, Mrs. Bell.
Did I tell you they're bringing my little girl?
No, the nicest day is when we do carol singing on Christmas Eve.
Sugar, does she take?
1 spoon.
Yes, well, apart from that, there's not much going on, is there?
Not really. They try and send as many staff and patient home as possible now.
I thought we'd get up to all sorts of things.
Nurse. Nurse. Nurse.
I'm very pleased with you all, and we'd also like to wish you the best of luck in your future nursing careers. Thank you.
Congratulations, my dear.
It's grand, isn't it?